Edinburgh is inspiring. The skyline of the new town is as picturesque as the silhouette of the castle rising above the old town. Almost wherever you go in Edinburgh, you have a view. The Scottish capital's entire city centre is a UNESCO World Cultural Heritage Site. And Edinburgh is not just the political hub of Scotland, but the creative one as well, especially for writers. One of them is poet Christine de Luca. She's been appointed the City Bard, or Macker.
We have a very rich literary tradition, and I think wherever you go, it's like being in an open-air museum, really. If you take this court here, this courtyard, Macker's Court, the very flagstones come alive with the words of the writers, the great writers. They have to be dead to be here, but you can't forget them when you walk through here.
Traces of Scotland's literary tradition are everywhere. Poet Robert Ferguson captured a day in this city in the 18th century. There's a statue dedicated to him. Ferguson also influenced Scotland's most famous bard, Robert Burns. Reminders of the ploughman poet can be found all over the city. One is a classical Greek memorial erected in Burns's honour. But there's an even bigger monument to author Sir Walter Scott. His historical novel Ivanhoe is considered a classic the world over. Scott also helped promote a romanticised identity for his homeland, making kilts and tartan once again popular. And everyone also knows the novel Treasure Island by Robert Louis Stevenson. The author and poet spent much of his early life in this house, in Edinburgh's new town.
Welcome to the Stevenson house.
Stevenson lived here in the mid-19th century. Today, the house belongs to Felicitas and John McFie. They live here, but regularly rent out 2 rooms to guests.
As a guest here with us in the Stevenson house, you have a unique opportunity to live in the childhood home of Robert Louis Stevenson, and you can breathe in the atmosphere and see how one of Scotland's most famous writers lived.
Edinburgh's literary scene is still lively today. It's said that J.K. Rowling of Harry Potter fame wrote the first book in the series looking out on Edinburgh Castle from this cafe. Christine de Luca comes here often too.
I can see her sitting here writing quite easily. Edinburgh is a very small city in many ways, and a very intimate city, and it's a city of many cities with lots of history, and I think walking around it you can be inspired. You can walk up to the castle, down the Royal Mile, and you see the old city.
Some say Rowling modelled the magician's boarding school Hogwarts on Edinburgh Castle. Outside Edinburgh there are other sites that have inspired Scottish authors. Robert Scott's work immortalised the ruins of Tantallon Castle. And Robert Louis Stevenson set his novel Catriona at Bass Rock. When night draws in, the pubs and bars in Edinburgh's Old Town see plenty of custom. After all, in many places, visitors can choose from around 300 different types of Scotch whisky.
After a long day of looking at art, which is what we did today.
In the rain.
In the rain and walking around, it's good to have whiskey to warm you up a little bit.
The Scots are very proud of their whiskey. Robert Burns often used a wee dram or two to fire up his creativity. In one of his poems, he even wrote that freedom and whiskey gang thegither.